Now, if you could guarantee an income for life, would you jump at the chance? It's one of those investment promises that sound really, really good on the surface, but you definitely need to take a deeper look to make sure it's the best decision for you. Ohio's retirement coach Greg Taylor of Legacy Retirement Group is here to help us make smart decisions for ourselves and our money. Hi, Greg. Good morning.
Hey, good morning.
Now, I imagine bold promises like income for life. It sounds really good, but scenarios like this, you probably have to coach your clients on them a little extra, don't you?
Well, you do, and no matter where your money is, you need to understand what the strings are that are attached, and because there is one with everything.
Okay, so this topic came up in our first email question. Let's get to it. Paul in New Albany says, my accountant said it doesn't make sense to put my IRA into an annuity, but I like the income for life features that many of them offer. If I need my IRA for retirement income, should I consider an annuity? So this is a case of running the numbers, right? See what works best for him?
Well, it is, but you know, the accountant said an annuity and an IRA may not make sense just because a lot of times annuities are already tax deferred, but so are IRAs. But you have to look beyond that and say, is that the right tool to achieve what I'm trying to achieve? Because all investment vehicles are tools in the box, so to speak. So you want to pull out the one that's most appropriate for what you're trying to achieve. Now you have to be careful with some annuities though, because some have really low caps, some have really high fees, some have really high surrender charges and things like that. That doesn't mean all annuities are bad, but as long as you know, as we just mentioned, what the strings are that are attached and you understand, okay, typically, if you put your money in an annuity, you're going to have to commit it to there for 5 or 7 or 10 years. And you want to make sure that if you do that, it's the right vehicle for what you're trying to achieve.
It's really about reading the fine print.
It is, and working with someone that understands the difference.
All right, our next question comes from Nancy in Grandview. She writes, I'm 65 and will retire at the end of next year. I've heard so much about Social Security changes that I'm wondering if I should just go ahead and take my Social Security while I still can.
You know, a lot of people are a little bit fearful. You know, you hear, well, they borrowed from Social Security again, and, you know, they're wondering, is it going to be there when I retire, and all those fears, but I don't think we should make our decisions out of fear.
Sure.
Because truthfully, will 1 year really make that big a difference? But it could make a difference, especially if you wait another year, you're going to get that 8% bump. But another thing to factor in, if you're making over $15,600 a year and you take your Social Security right now, you have to give some of that back. So you want to make sure that you don't make a bad decision just because you're emotional about it.
So am I right that you always like people to wait as long as possible?
Well, not always, but it's typically a better opportunity, especially if you don't need the income today, to get more when you retire, when you're really going to need it, because those paychecks aren't going to be coming from the outside.
All right, finally, William in Grove City wants to know, I'm 70 years old and I'm going to retire. I'm 70 years old and I'm going to hit 70 and a half next year. Now, over 90% of my retirement savings is in my IRA, which is about $600,000. I'm getting a little nervous because it's all in the stock market. So should he consider making changes?
Well, possibly now is a good time because you're going to transition from the accumulating phase of that IRA. Now you're going to be getting distributions every year. And with the fluctuating market, that could be disastrous if you're paying fees, you have some downside there. So you have to really look again at making sure that your dollars last as long as you do. And reducing risk in retirement is something you do have to look at.
Very good. Greg, stick around with us for more advice, if you will.